I was really, really impressed with our performance against Bournemouth.
Overall, it just seems like a much more cohesive unit.
He's very unusual. He's freakish in the nicest possible way.
How would he adapt to the Premier League? Do you think the pace of the league would be an issue?
No, I don't think so. People make out sometimes with the Bundesliga that it's not a physical league. It is. People want to kick you.
There's a really, really good feeling around Cunha and Mbeumo in particular.
This full pre-season is giving us that time to especially improve the connections between us, dynamics. You will see straight away that there are improvements.
Nick Woltemade from Stuttgart, he's been linked to Manchester United.
He's broken into the Germany squad. He's done really well for the under-21s. He is a rising star, there's no doubt. If you want to win now, you buy Gyökeres. If you want to win in 2-3 years' time, you buy Sesko. Because I do genuinely believe the ceiling's probably higher.
Hello and welcome to Inside Devils, sponsored by MUTV on Sky. A must for Man United fans to watch every pre-season fixture live and exclusive. Watch anytime, anywhere, T's and C's apply. Woo! What a performance it was against Bournemouth in Chicago to keep our perfect record up in the US tour. And we had a huge bit of news this week regarding our pursuit for Benjamin Sesko as well. So joining me from Atlanta is, of course, Mr. Inside Devils himself. It's Flex. And a warm welcome back to the studio to Angelina Kelly after a whirlwind a few weeks, by the way, in Switzerland. How was it, Ange?
Yes, it was absolutely amazing. Watching the Lionesses win the Euros again on foreign soil this time. It was brilliant. Great talkSPORT team out there. Great to speak to the fans, speaking to the players. The experience, yeah, amazing.
Flex, how are you doing out there, man? I see you meeting and greeting all the players. I see you bringing all the spirits up. How's it been?
Yeah, it's been good fun, good vibes, good energy. Just quickly, just off what Ange said, though, unbelievable from the Lionesses. Great coverage as well, as usual, Angelina. But honestly, what the girls did was just incredible in that dramatic fashion. So always got to big up the Lionesses, you know, back-to-back champions. So big up to them.
Yeah.
But yes, it's got to the last state now of the tour. Just got in from Chicago last night, so a little bit tired.
Yeah. It's early where you are.
It's early, and I've already got the wrong time once because it's gone back to -5 hours instead of -6. So I was here an hour before you lot when no one was here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was, but...
You're a hard worker, that's what it is, Flex. You're just ready to go, aren't you?
No excuses, there's no days off, just like Ruben Amorim is saying to these players, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a lot more detail, but no, it's been really, really fun so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We're going to kick off with a story that's been on every Man United fan's lips at the moment. Will Benjamin Sesko be leading the line this season? Well, reports claim that United are winning the race for the RB Leipzig striker. So we want to know a little bit more about him, obviously. Joining us now, I'm delighted to say, it's European football expert Kevin Hatchard. Kev, how are you, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm a little bit more sprightly than Flex, maybe. I kind of know what time it is. I'm kind of on it, so we're all good, I think.
No, it's good. Do you know what? It's great to have you here. I must say, when I found out earlier you were going to be on, I was absolutely buzzing because I just want to pick your brains. You know, Sesko himself. I suppose the first question is going to be a bit open-ended, but there's so many attributes to his game. Why is he attracting so many big clubs to him?
Because he's very unusual in the sense that he's tall but very quick. So there's an element of, you know, what Erling Haaland does. I don't want to compare him to Haaland, but he's freakish in the nicest possible way in that a guy of that frame shouldn't move like that. So there's that part. He hammers the ball when he strikes it. He strikes it so beautifully. So that's part of it. He's imaginative sometimes with his finishing. Good in the air, as you'd expect for somebody who's 6'5". So you'd expect him to be good in the air. But also, I think the thing that I've been impressed with is Leipzig weren't very good last season. That's the truth of it. They missed out on Europe. They didn't play particularly well. And yet he was able to produce. He was able to come up with goals and he was able to, you know, maintain his level and his head didn't drop. He kept on pushing. He kept on working for the team. And so this is somebody who's been on the radar for years. And it's no surprise that clubs are interested.
Yeah, when you talk about Sesko and you see the compilations, there's certain goal categories, right? The catalogues where you look at them. I mean, I'm venturing away here from Man United, but you look at your Giroud's, Ibrahimovic obviously has been in a United shirt. You look at that goal catalogue and you think, whoa, like there's some world-class goals in here. And it's similar with Sesko. Obviously, though, that's not that's not just his bag, is it? The extravagant, because you've mentioned it there. What kind of striker is he?
Yeah, well, he's someone who can play in a lot of different ways. I think he's always trying to get involved in some ways, quite active. He wants to run in behind, but he hasn't been able to offer the threat that he would like to at times because Leipzig haven't played that well and they found it really difficult at times to break teams down. And he was trying to link the play, he was trying to get involved, but the team just wasn't quite firing. So it's difficult to judge him sometimes in that way. He's great in transition because of that pace he has. He's willing to take players on. You know, he's got that one-on-one ability, which again, you look at him and think, should he be able to do that? But he is able to do that. There are rough edges to his game that need to be smooth. There's no doubt about that. But he's still young. He's 22. So with the right coach, I think he can develop that. So you look at what he's done at international level with Slovenia. He's scored some great goals for them. He's got a decent record at international level. I think this is somebody who, you know, you can absolutely understand why top Premier League clubs are looking at him. Yeah,
you mentioned it there, Kevin, and I'll put this to you, Flex. The age, right, so he's really young, and there's some natural low-hanging fruit comparisons to Højlund. Does that concern you at all, Flex?
Yeah, it does, actually. That was going to be my next question to Kev, which actually I'll finish off my answer by throwing it to Kev, actually, because there was a lot made of Rasmus Højlund on the way into Manchester United. Inexperienced, 20 years of age. At the time, I think he'd scored 9 goals for Atalanta in the league at the time. And we've seen how that's turned out, right? The first season for him was very much one of bedding in as a young striker and was given a lot of leeway, which is what should happen. And actually the return of 16 goals in all competitions about that. We were left thinking, actually, good, decent first season. And this kid's got some stuff to offer, raw around the edges, but we keep moving. And you look at the disaster of what's happened this season and last season, should I say, and scoring 4 goals and being completely out of sorts. The disparity is too big. It can't be that Højlund's gone from he looks okay and there's something to work with to he's the most terrible signing. That's an indicative of Manchester United. So with Benjamin Sesko, what I wanted to ask you, Kev, is are there similarities with that? Because my understanding is that Benjamin Sesko's level and body of work now compared to where Rasmus Højlund was coming into it to Manchester United is almost chalk and cheese. You know, Benjamin Sesko's been coveted. Arsenal been looking at him this summer. They were looking at him last summer. Manchester United have been in before that. The stature is a lot higher with Benjamin Sesko. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, you know, he scored plenty of goals for Leipzig in back-to-back seasons now. He was a promising player at Salzburg before that, so he's got a fair bit of European experience, fair bit of international experience as well. With Højlund, I think it's a really difficult one, right? Because I think there's a player who's been swallowed up by the Man United maelstrom. You know, we see this with loads of players, that it's a club in flux. It's a club that's been a mess. It's a club that has kind of lurched from idea to idea. Amorim, I think, has quite rightly stuck to his guns and tried to develop it in the way that he wants to. But the pressure's enormous. And, you know, with Højlund, you could see he's been crushed flat by that and how difficult it's been. I wouldn't actually give up on him yet. I would like to see them keep him because actually Sesko coming in, if they could make it work financially, you'd like to think that would take a bit of pressure off him. And, you know, you look at his goal record in Europe, it was pretty good. I still think there's something there. But if you're asking me, has Sesko got a more proven track record, then yeah, absolutely, that's the case.
That's giving me a little bit of relief with the proven track record, because that was one thing that I was always hoping that we would get a more experienced player. So when Ollie Watkins came up, for example, I was a little bit more open to that, I would say. But what I wanted to ask was, how do you see him performing with the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo with those number 10 roles? And for comparison, what was he like with somebody like Xavi Simons and Openda at Leipzig?
Yeah, well, every striker wants service, right? And that's when he's had that, he's done well. You know, you look at his finishing numbers, they're good. And he's had quality players behind him before. The issue that Leipzig had in general was that they were just struggling to function as a team and they were scoring fewer goals than they normally would. But he still performed. And I think he is a moments player as well. I go back to a game against Bayern quite late in the season where Jonas Urbik, the Bayern goalkeeper, had done a Neuer and he was miles off his line. And it was Xavi who'd actually played Sesko through. And a lot of players would have lifted the ball over the goalkeeper, but Sesko decided to absolutely bang it with the outside of his boot around the goalkeeper and in. So that's the kind of imagination you're talking about. He can be frustrating because sometimes he'll lead a charge, he'll have a player either side of him and he'll smash it because he's got a bit of space to do that and it'll fly over the crossbar. But loads of players do that. And I think with a good coach, which Amorim is, with a bit of time, I think he can deal with the pressure. I don't think that's an issue. I don't see him, he's got a fair bit of bravado. I think he rates himself, and I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. And with guys like Mbermo, like Cunha around him, he should get the service that he can make the most of.
Yeah, that's amazing. Before we move on from Sesko, I was just going to say, you mentioned it earlier that that he's rough around the edges, and you've kind of said it there. From your best guess, because I've not watched him week in, week out, how would he adapt to the Premier League in your opinion? Do you think that would be an issue, the pace of the league?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a step up that he can make. Certainly the physicality shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
I think he could deal with that. I think people make out sometimes with the Bundesliga that it's not a physical league. It is. People want to kick you. They want to test you out, and especially if you're a striker. There is a slight change that he's going to have to make because he's played in the two a lot of the time. He's played with Openda quite a lot. So he's going to have to adjust a bit tactically there, but I'm sure that he could do that. The one thing as well that we haven't actually talked about, which I think is important, is the numbers without the ball, because he will do that press, he will do that work, because if you play for Salzburg, if you play for Leipzig, if you play in that Red Bull school, you don't press, you don't play. It's as simple as that. And so that work that Amorim will want from him without the ball, I think he's perfectly willing to do.
Oh, that's great. That's comforting.
One thing. That is very comforting, actually. Sorry, before you move on.
Yeah.
I was talking to some people here at Tour about the thinking behind Sesko, because I'm with Angelina, and I don't know where you was, Ryan. I think you was with the Watkins situation, wasn't you? You was more proven Premier League, etc. And I was sort of just questioning why Sesko, and they said to me that the feeling is that Manchester United want to be winning the league within 3 years, right? And that's public, right? Omar Brada has said, Project 2028, isn't it? Well, I can't remember the name of it, but that's what's happening. And in 3 years' time, will Ollie Watkins at 32 be the guy to fire Manchester United to the title? So the thinking there is that Sesko, with a couple of years behind him, with some more experience and building this team within the next 2 to 3 years, will be the one ready to fire Man United to the title. And actually, I never thought of it like that. Of course, if you don't take care of your short to mid-term goals, you don't get to the long term, right? So if you don't get someone good enough now, how do you get into Europe? How do you improve? So there is a counteraction there, but it was the first time it was put to me in a way where I went, actually, I see that. If you believe he's going to be the guy, it is for the next couple of years. We're not expecting to win the Premier League now.
No.
So actually, when it was put to me like that, it was interesting to see the thinking from the club perspective of why they weren't going stronger for Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, 100%. I back that as well. Do you know what, Kev? While we've got you here, there's obviously rumour mill circulating Manchester United. We're used to it. Nick Woltemade from Stuttgart. That's just popped up this morning on my radar. Now I have to say, there's not much I know about this striker. Can we get some more insight from yourself about what kind of striker this is and potentially why he's been linked to Manchester United?
I can understand why he's being linked to United, because what's happened is Bayern are pushing really hard to get him. And so they're hoping that Stuttgart are going to bring the price down, because Stuttgart have rejected a couple of moves already. And so Newcastle are being linked, United are being linked. Whether that's all part of the dance or whether that's his agents trying to drum up a bit of, panic for Bayern to try and make a move more quickly or more strongly to take him out of Stuttgart, we'll see. But look, he's a great. I really like him. The track record is a tough one, because when he came through at Werder Bremen, there was a lot of buzz about him. This big, tall guy with amazing touch, but he didn't really do it goal scoring wise, but he was in a poor team. He went away, he played for Elversberg in the second tier, he got goals for them, then he came back and Stuttgart took him. And when Stuttgart took him, I thought, okay, well, this is interesting. They're signing some young players, signing some interesting guys. He had quite an unusual profile. He's a bit, this is a really boring way of putting it, but he's a bit like Peter Crouch.
Got you.
In the sense that big, tall guy, but he's got that touch. And the thing he has, which is phenomenal, really, he's got this ability to slalom past people. It's really quite something. It's like seeing, an incredible giraffe ballet dance. It's really quite something. But look, he is somebody that he's broken into the Germany squad. He's done really well for the under-21s. He is a rising star, there's no doubt. It says a lot that Bayern want him. The other interesting thing about him is he's not a pure 9. He can be, but he can play at 10 as well. And he can play that really effectively because he's got that awareness. He's got that picture around him. So, yeah, again, he would be somebody that I imagine if the Sesko thing fell over, that might be something they would explore, a lot more strongly. I think he is somebody that Stuttgart want to keep, but I think that there's no guarantee that he's going to be there come next season. But he did help them win the cup last term, and that was a really big deal, and he was really important in that run. Just a quick one on the Sesko versus Watkins thing, by the way.
Yeah.
I was asked a lot about Gyökeres when Arsenal were linked with Gyökeres and linked with Sesko. And my answer was, and I still think this, if you want to win now, you buy Gyökeres. If you want to win in 2-3 years' time, you buy Sesko. Because I do genuinely believe the ceiling's probably higher for Sesko, purely because of what he potentially brings with the height, the speed, the physicality, or the kind of ingenuity, all that stuff.
Straight up, I just want to get your opinion. Sesko, are you sold by this? Because I'm of the opinion we've done the Premier League proven in the first 2 signings.
Yeah.
So the Sesko, we can make room for an element of risk here. Where are you with it?
I'm just happy that we're being linked with a decent striker. Do you know what I mean? Because I really thought, are we going to get a striker over the line? And it was funny, I was speaking to Kieran Maguire from The Price of Football earlier this week, and I was saying, how is this going to happen financially with the PSR, etc.? And he said, actually, Man United are in a much better position than you would maybe think, and he was really positive about being able to bring a striker in, maybe even not just a striker, but maybe another player. I know that people have been looking at goalkeepers, maybe somebody in midfield, etc. So overall this week, I felt really positive, which is not usual, but you know what?
I'll tell you what, get the producers in there, make sure the temperature's right, and make sure Angie's good.
I know, it's all that positivity of the Lionesses and Switzerland and stuff. I'm a new person.
You're buzzing.
But yeah, no, I think for me, like I say, I was always in the team of wanting somebody who's more proven, but I think that's an excellent point, Ryan, like having Cunha and Mbeumo, which on paper, they should both thrive. Now, we don't know if they're going to thrive because this is Manchester United and we've seen sometimes it doesn't always go to plan, but probability-wise, I think the odds are looking pretty good. So I think, bringing somebody in who's maybe a little bit more unproven in that sense, that excites me. I think this might sound a little bit ridiculous, but I guess the fact that he was linked with Arsenal for such a period of time, sometimes United have signed players and you think, no one else was even interested. Like, are they even that good? But just having that, and also, like, if I'm being completely honest, you look at someone like Newcastle who wants a replacement for Isak before he makes the move to Liverpool. We know that Newcastle have also been interested. Yeah. So potentially somehow in a chain stopping Liverpool from getting a sign-in, that makes me quite happy.
I'm with you on that. I maybe I'm hating there.
Any way that we can affect them, because we ain't competing with them at the minute. So if we can affect a Liverpool transfer, I'm here for that.
Do you know what? I'm with you on that. Flex, I'm going to throw it to you here because a couple episodes ago, you were Watkins over Sesko. Now, there's obviously been a lot more developments. We've heard from Kev there, and you get time to form your own opinions and things develop. Where are you with it now? Would you still prioritise Watkins over Sesko? Or, I'm sure you'd take both. But who are you picking if I'm putting you on the spot?
It's yeah. I'm not going to hide that. Like you said, my biggest preference was to get somebody experienced, somebody who knows the league, somebody who can do it now, someone who can operate under the pressure of the Premier League without as many unanswered questions. So I still, and potentially for a smaller fee, I was hearing around 45 to 50 million pounds could have got Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
There. But listen, Aston Villa would have played hardball. You don't know how these negotiations would have gone. But I've had to pivot. I've had to pivot because what the facts are that Manchester United are trying to get this deal done. They've more than presented their project to him, and it's down to Sesko to choose between Newcastle United and Manchester United. Those are the facts. So for me, I do understand it. I do understand it in terms of it is in line with what Ineos are trying to do in terms of not buying a player that's going to be in his 30s with not much sell-on value and things like that. Although I didn't really subscribe in the case of Ollie Watkins, I was pleased to deviate in that case because I don't think 31 or 32 is ancient.
No.
But like I said, when it was put to me by some people here at the club that was actually like, this is the thinking behind it, it did help clear that up for me. And I thought, actually, I can see that. And one thing I didn't want to do is act like I was saying to Kev, is that there is a big disparity between Rasmus Højlund coming into Manchester United at that time and Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko has actually made these decisions within the last 2 to 3 years to stay put or make that change into Leipzig from Salzburg. You know, sign a new deal, keep working on his craft. It's not like it's come too quickly for him. He's turned down some big moves in his career so far, in his short career so far. And now it looks like he's hit the right ceiling or the right time in his career to make that step.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about, he has hardly played any senior games and this is a bit of a rush. No, he turned down Arsenal last year, signed a new deal, said, I want to stay here. It didn't work. It didn't quite work for them this year. When we tried to get him a couple of years ago, it didn't work then. So he's taken his time with his career. He's honed his skills. So yeah, and I like that's one big thing as well, Ryan. Is 100% agree with you. I said this as well the other day. The fact that we've got Premier League proven experience just behind that is a counterbalancing weight, basically, I see, to help him through. If it was 2 other young 10s and people who don't know the league, it'll be a lot different. But I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later. But having been around these guys here, there's a really, really good feeling around Cunha and Mbeumo in particular, as well as the rest of the squad. But I think they will go far in easing the burden, like Ange on somebody who's coming in who maybe doesn't know the league.
Yeah. Oh, you love to hear it as well, by the way, about that positive chat. And we will get into it, I assure you. We're going to have to talk about the goal fest in Chicago, which we put 4 past Bournemouth in the Premier League Summer Series. Højlund, Dorgu, Ahmed and young Ethan Williams as well found the net in a strong outing for the Red Devils. I'm going to stick with you actually, Flex, because you're out there. You must have been absolutely buzzing leaving that stadium, absolutely buzzing. On the ground, how did it look? How did it feel?
Really good. Really good. And like Ange says, dare we say it, positive.
Yeah.
Like it feels, honestly, it feels positive. Listen, it's pre-season. If you smash Bournemouth 5-0 or, you drew the game or you lost 1-0, you can't get carried away or under carried away or over carried away, right?
Yeah.
It's pre-season. But at the same time, I do think it's really important that us as Man United fans do report or dissect the pre-season properly, because if they weren't, after the season that they had, if we saw just a continuation and no sort of contrast to the situations and performances we were seeing last season, then we would be the first to call it out. So I think if they're making improvements and we can see them doing what they're supposed to be doing, we need to talk about it. And we were on the front foot. I think the pressing is really good. We look really organised. And the biggest thing that I can see with us is that we're playing with intensity.
Yeah.
That's it. We're playing with intensity. We're not allowing the teams to settle, and we're playing with purpose. And it hasn't actually been rocket science. Speaking to some of the players and speaking to Ruben Amorim in the press conference, he was put questions of what's going on. And it's like, they're just more confident. They're just more confident. And one of the biggest things that I've taken so far from the players that I've caught up with, I've asked them all, and they've always been asked in different ways, what's different in this pre-season? Nearly all of them are saying the instruction from Ruben Amorim is the same. When we were losing 15th and losing all them games, and that might sound crazy, but when we were losing, the game plan was the same.
Yeah.
So that shows you that it's not that Ruben's gone, right, I tell you what, scrap what I was trying to get you to do halfway through the season. That's not what we're doing. Let's pivot to this. It's exactly the same plan. It's just been implemented miles better because of their commitment to the system, understanding of the system. They're fitter, they're faster. And Luke Shaw was talking about that as well.
Yeah.
There isn't that negativity in there. So I was really, really impressed with our performance against Bournemouth. And actually, Bournemouth is the team that I probably worried most about on this tour.
Yeah.
Very, very good outfit. And then you've got Andy Ariola saying after the game, we're not near Man United.
That was it. I was so surprised to hear that, Flex. I'm not going to lie, but obviously he sees it. Even Kev said there, Amarin's a good coach as well. So I'm glad you feel positive about it, and I think we all did. Ange, who in particular have you been impressed with on this tour and in that game as well?
You know what? I just think overall it just seems like a much more cohesive unit. I think that's what makes me happy. I think obviously I've been impressed by having Ahmad back in the fold. It obviously came back towards the end of the season, but having him, in this pre-season makes me happy. But I think, touching on what Flex said there, I think having somebody like Iraola, who is a very highly respected manager, a manager who I think, a lot of people would have took him at United at one point. And I think he said that they're a hell of a team. That's a big statement. We lost to Bournemouth. We drew with them. Yes, they've had a couple of outgoings and we don't like to read into pre-season too much, but this is still a good side. And for us to beat them so convincingly and to have so many different goal scorers, that's what really impresses me. So, I just think looking at the team overall, I've been impressed. I think Ahmad always stands out for me because I root for Ahmad always. But, I think I came away from that feeling very, very positive. And it's getting scary that I am feeling so positive.
That's good. Are you feeling positive about Dorgu yet? That's what I've got to ask on the left-hand side. I've got to ask you, Ange, now I've got you in the studio.
That should have been the name, Ange. He's been the standout one.
Yeah.
He's been excellent.
It's early days, but he's been good.
OK, I'll give you that. No, obviously, he has been brilliant, and I think he was great in that Bournemouth game as well. And as much as I was very sceptical on him, at the end of the day, I want our signings to do well. I don't want another signing that doesn't work out. So maybe it is a case of it took him, you guys might have a different opinion that you thought he was good from day dot. Maybe it's taken him, for me, a little bit longer to maybe slot in. But the fact that he is slotting in, the fact that he is producing great moments, that his work rate looks great, I'm happy with that overall. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with those wing-back positions. And obviously we've seen Ahmad play in a couple of different roles and what that will mean, etc. But I think, we've been crying out, and dying as well. We've been desperate for that left side to have a little bit of consistency. And it's no disrespect to Luke Shaw because he spent more time injured than he has fit. But I think, and I don't think he has it in him really to be a left wing back, let's be honest. So to have someone in that position, that's what I want. So let it continue, fingers crossed.
And he did say that, what Ange said there, to be fair, about the settling in. Because he was one of the ones I asked, what's different? And he was the first one to say, I came at a difficult time. I'm just more comfortable.
Yeah.
I've just been that. It's that simple. I've just had more time to get used to this. He's learning not necessarily a new language, English was very good, but a new league, new surroundings, new country.
New environment,
New environment. He's 20 years of age as well, by the way. We forget that. Coming in from Lecce is a tough ask. And honestly, guys, in person, I'm not over-egging it because I don't like overreacting, but he looks powerful. He looks strong.
Positive.
He looks really positive. He's adding some goals and assists, and you really hope he can take that into the season because Andy's right. In terms of out-and-out left wing-backs, yes, we've got young Diego Leon. He's going to need some time. Of course. It's going to be Dorgu who's the main guy. I like the fact he's looking really confident and he's got his feet under the table.
Yeah, long may it continue. Do you know what? There's a transfer that we missed out on, right, that I'm just extremely disappointed in, and that's Paulinho. Spurs have signed him, right? And I can't help, my heart sank when I saw the here we go, because I just think, gosh, isn't that what we're screaming out for? Someone who can dictate the play on loan. on loan, and then there's a, what is it, 20 million or 30 million, option to buy at the end of it. I just think maybe we did go for him, but I haven't heard enough about that. I just feel like Manchester United should have been gunning for someone like that. How often does a player of that calibre, he's only had a season out there, right? You can't judge that. There's no bedding in time. How often does a player of that calibre come up on loan when he was at the peak of his powers before he left for Germany? So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel like that would have just been such a good signing for us.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those, I guess you don't know the inner workings of things and what goes on behind closed doors, etc. But it's definitely that kind of level of player that we're looking at. So, yeah, I guess in some ways you look at that and you think, we could have done with that. But I think with transfers, the more I'm, badgering Alex Crook 24/7. The more I'm learning about these transfers is that there's way more to them than we could even imagine at times.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
He may not have been on the list, also maybe age profile-wise as well.
Could be. I just think, I'm with you.
But it did seem like a market opportunity. I agree with that. But their priorities and all the eggs are firmly in the basket of striker. That I do know.
Must be. It must be. Quickly before we move on, because we've got to move on. Williams, young Ethan Williams, Ange. What's his ceiling? Can he be one of the breakout stars, do you think? Because he looked fantastic, didn't he?
Yeah.
Calm and composed.
Yeah, no, he looked absolutely brilliant. And I remember there was a game last season where I was getting stick of, demanding that we played more youth, and we didn't. So no, I love to see it, and that's one of the nice things I like about pre-season is you do see some younger players who maybe you're not that clued up on, to see them perform and to see them have a really nice moment. So yeah, no, absolutely buzzing for him. And there's a reason why Ruben Amorim is playing these players. He's not doing it just because he's like, oh, I'll give him a shot. He's doing it because he sees something in these players. I don't think Ruben Amorim is taking this pre-season for granted. I don't think he's taking it as let's just have a go and see what happens. I think everything is plotted, planned, and has a rhyme and reason. So, no, I'm really excited, and I just hope that this opens the door for more young players. I mean, I'm going to sound salty here, but, Sesko Kone, very highly rated. I think the African media are comparing him to a Yaya Toure, for example. Seems like someone who would be really, really good in midfield. I know that he's been highly rated. And I mentioned Chido Obi as well. A lot of hype around that guy. I don't think that he should be thrust into anything too quickly. But I think that he's one that you would like to see because, in my opinion, we have to be focusing on the Premier League. Yeah. That is what we have to be focused on. We've been lucky with these cups recently, but that shouldn't be our priority. So I would not be mad at seeing in some of these cup games these young players, and I think that Williams should 100% be in there.
Nicely said. Quick fire flex. Quick. I want a sentence out of all of the kids that you've seen out there on tour. Who's going to be the breakout star in your opinion? Who do you think?
Kone, I don't think he's going to get in this season too early. Chido needs more time, maybe with the under-23s. I'd say Leon. I'd say Diego Leon, only because I think he's going to be the one who's going to be around the first team the most. On the bench, might not get minutes, but will be on the bench if there's an injury. Might have to play. I don't think he's quite ready yet, but I have to say him because I think he's the closest of what I'm hearing as well.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I like the logic flex. Moving on then, Ruben Amorim's men are ramping up their preparations for the new season out in the US, and with what's set to be a huge season for our new number 2, Flex sat down with an exclusive interview with Diogo Dalot. Here's what he had to say a few weeks out from the new campaign.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to a very special piece here on Inside Devils in Chicago. I am here with Diogo Dalot. Diogo, thank you for taking the time out to join us in a busy schedule in the heat here in Chicago. But I heard you say you like the heat. You like it?
Yeah, I quite like it. To be honest. And I'm used to the cold, so it's always nice to get. I hear that to get something different. Yeah,
it's good. It's good. Okay, right. First up, we've got a little message or some questions actually from my fellow Inside Devils guys. Here's the first one from Ryan. Here's what he has to say.
Dalot, Ryan from Inside Devils. I want to know your passion in this squad is unprecedented. I love it. It's one of the best attributes. I want to know how much of an influence you feel like now in your stage of the career, how long you've been in a Man United shirt, just how much of an impact and how much influence you have on this squad as it stands.
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't, obviously at this stage of my career and obviously in the club, you always try to find ways of improving your teammates, improve the environment that you are in. And obviously, me being here for a long time, I feel that I have this responsibility also to share with my teammates the standards that the club needs to have and where we want to go. And the one thing is for you to say it, and the other is to show it. And I think that's the biggest challenge now that I have in myself, and try to also give it to my teammates. It's that this has to be a daily life. This has to be something that you need to put in every single day if we want to put the club back on top. So it's obviously a tough challenge because we've been through difficult times. But at the same time, it gives me more energy because I know that once we get everyone at the same page, everyone in the same path, not just players, but obviously everybody together as one, I think we will get there.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Here's the second question, Diogo. This is from Anil.
I just wanted to remind you of some certain comments from Jose Mourinho all those years ago when you joined Manchester United, where he did describe you as the best fullback in your age group in the whole of Europe. You've had big names like that give you so much praise. You've worked with so many managers. But I really wanted to get your understanding in terms of the pressure of Manchester United. Of course, it's been a bit of a difficult time over the last couple of seasons. But how hard really is it to really operate at such a high level with so many eyes and cameras and scrutiny on you?
Big question. Big praise as well.
Question. I mean, the thing is always something that I think when you arrive to the club, it always gets you. It always shocks you a little bit because you think the club is big, but you don't understand how big it is until you're inside. And I think that's the first reality, that the reality shock that you get once you arrive. But then is with the pass going by, you just have to realize what are really the demands for you to be in a club like this. First, if for you to arrive, you're gonna have quality. I think that's undeniable because otherwise you wouldn't sign for a club like this. But then there's when we talk about this type of pressure that is especially from the outside, from the fans, it's specific because they just want you to see giving everything for the club. Then you might have good games or bad games. You might have less or better quality than some players, but that standard, that thing that you need to show when you're on the pitch, I think that's the most important thing as a club, especially for the fans. I think that's the first big thing that they want to see in the football
commitment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're not committed to what you are doing, to the games you're playing, to the club, I think it will be very difficult for you to succeed at this club. And then it's just trying, like I said to you earlier, it's just trying to do as much time as you can, the most consistent way as you can. Because unfortunately in football, the memory is too short. You just have to constantly be doing it every single day, otherwise people will still asking you why you're not doing it, or will obviously demanding you. It's just not enough for you to do it for one game or for one season. You need to do it constantly, and that's the pressure and the standard of playing for a big club. If you want to be here for a long time, you need to be ready for that.
And it's always there. I mean, for you on a personal now, I say this position change. I remember when Aaron was here, maybe Aaron could be described as more defensive fullback and your side of the game is more offensive. And now Ruben's come in and he's playing sort of in between the two with a right wing back. Does that positional change within the formation, do you feel that suits your game more, or is it actually more demanding than it ever was? So it still comes with different sets of difficulties. How have you found that?
I would say it's more demanding because you need constantly being in the game. You have to think as a defender and as a forward.
Yeah.
So before you could think when you're playing as a back four, you're a defender first. And sometimes you have to think as a forward because you're going to help your winger or you do overlaps or underlaps. Now, when we get the ball, I'm the winger. I'm the guy who's...
You're up there high, man.
That's... Personally, I like it because he also unlocks me new things in my game and he puts me even more complete. So I know I have to also work in that part, especially the mindset of when we have the ball, I have to think as a forward. And sometimes I try to protect what's going on in the back, whether it's sometimes not my responsibility, but it's natural on me because I'm a defender. But it's also challenging and I like to be challenged during my career and during my seasons. We've seen, I don't know, in the past when I had to play more inside with Eric, and that was a challenge for me, playing sometimes as a number 6. I never had that in my career. So I think it just helps me to be more complete, and I try to do the best as I can. Sometimes goes well, sometimes goes not so well, but I always try to be open for it, because I know that in that moment the team needs me to do the best as I can. But yeah, I would say it's more challenging because I have to think both ways more often. But at the same time, I think I have the physicality to do it. So I just have to keep pushing and try to improve. I think it will be good for me and for the team.
In terms of our aspirations for this year, we all know how difficult it was last year. You know, we couldn't believe how difficult it was at times, and for you guys playing, it must have just been even more so difficult. What about the expectations for this year? A full preseason with Ruben, you know, time to understand his principles, time to understand the message he's trying to put across. How should fans take to that? Because we always want it now. We always want more improvement, right? I don't know, you know this, but
I'm gonna say you straight away in 7. This is gonna be when I finish my 8th year, so it's got 7th season now, and every preseason I feel that it's always gonna be the year, and that's what gives me more energy, and it's what excites me all the time about this club, is that no matter how bad you did the season before, this season you hear people talking about, oh yeah, if we change 1 or 2 things or 3 or 4 things in the team, maybe we can fight for the Premier League. And the talk is straight away that. So that's the perks of playing for a big club. But then if you analyze the reality, you need to be a little bit more cold-minded. You have to analyze, okay, we didn't do a good season last year. It was horrendous. So now we have to do it gradually. We need to focus short-term wins, and then to be a long-term winner, that's where we're gonna get there. So the first few steps first, and this full preseason is giving us that time to especially improve the connections between us, dynamics inside of the team and what the manager wants us to do. And I think you will see straight away that there are improvements, but I cannot say that we're gonna be the best team in the world in the next few months. It will take us time, but at the same time, that's where we want to go. And I think that's the best way that we can address this. But at the same time, every day we need to push ourselves, because what we did last year is not good enough.
No, and we'll get there. I'm sure we will. And for yourself, the 2 new guys coming in now, Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, they are here. As a fan watching us play against these 2, mate, complete and utter chaos all the time. They have a really hard time.
I'm glad they are on our side now.
I mean, you've had some duels against these guys, and for you, if you're on the right-hand side, you know, we're assuming Bryan will probably play right 10, maybe Cunha can play there, we don't know. But how excited are you to link up with guys that you've had such fierce battles with?
It's always exciting when you get new players coming in, and these 2 in particular, because first of all, they are amazing people, which that's exactly what we need in this club. People that are willing to work, you know, that they want to be better every day. They are humble. They want to help you. I think that's the first few steps for us to create a good dynamic as a team as well. And then because we know that I think we always talk players coming in and this adaptation to the country, to the league, and I think they're not going to need that, because they've been playing here for a long time, and they're already very familiar with the Premier League. So I think that straight away they can fit in, and obviously the qualities as football players, we cannot imagine how good they are, because that's why they came to this club, and hopefully they can help us a lot this year.
Listen, Diogo, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
We're ready for the season to lock in again.
Thank you, my friend.
The ups and the downs.
Nice to see you.
Thank you very much for watching, guys, and listening. Take care.
There we go. Amazing. An exclusive here on Inside Devils. First of all, Flex, good work in front of Diogo. I really enjoyed that. And he spoke really, really well there. But from you, sat in front of him, we've got our own opinions here, and I'll come to Ange. But what was your main takeaway from that chat then?
Yeah, I was came away feeling really really positive. I think it is easy in pre-season to hear all the spiel, to hear all the cliches, to hear all that we're going to be better, we're going to try. Last season's in the past, and listen, there's always going to be an element of that because they have to move on, right? But one thing about Diogo, no matter how good or bad he's playing or it's been at the club, he's always a very good, open, honest talker. So from that point of view, he made the interview really, really easy. The key points that I took from him, when he was talking about that last bit there about the characters needed, that was interesting. He said we need that in this dressing room, and it's not throwing people under the bus. It's just talking about how we're going to rebuild this football club and how we're going to rebuild the dressing room and how we need to make it harmonious. And we need characters like Mbeumo and Cunha. I thought that was really good. So I really enjoyed it, and he gave a really good, honest account, like he always does, to be fair. I didn't expect anything different from him. But the common theme that, again, a lot of these players are saying, guys, I don't want to say it feels different this time, but I don't want to go there. But I can only say to you how it feels and what's going on and what they're saying. And most of all, luckily, we're actually seeing some performances that reflect it. The players do seem more confident, fitter, more positive. The vibe, the mood, the emotive around the camp just feels good. And that's with the journalists as well. It's not just me saying it. There's a lot of journalists saying the same thing, as well as club staff, as well as team security I've spoke to, as well as different people across the club. So it does feel different. But yeah, it was a really good interview, and I think he outlined some important stuff.
100%. Yeah, there is an undertone of that good feeling. So I'm hearing what you're saying here. You're not getting carried away. I think we're all feeling it. And I've got a lot of love for Dalot as well. I always have. Ange, what was your takeaway from that then?
Yeah, no, I think similar. I think him speaking about, players and characters. And I think character is a really big one because, like we say, confidence must have been pretty low after last season. So the fact they're coming into this pre-season and giving a really good account of themselves, like Flex says, it feels different. I mean, there are reports as well that the players have signed some kind of contract. I don't know if you guys have heard this, that they've signed a contract about basically performing better off the pitch.
Yeah.
And that, to me, speaks volumes because it's unfortunately something that we've had to talk about. It's things that have been in the media, etc. But I just think going into this season, if these players are committed to being more of a unit, to just being better, i.e. off the pitch, on the pitch, holding themselves to account, that's what I really like, because I think you've got to have accountability. I think in any role that you play in your life.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Ange. And thank you very much, Flex, because that was Inside Devils, sponsored by MUTV on Sky. A must for Man United fans to watch every pre-season fixture live and exclusive. Watch anytime, anywhere. Existing Sky TV customers can upgrade now for just £7 extra a month. Just search MUTV on Sky or go to sky.com/MUTV. £7 extra on a 31-day rolling subscription requires HD-compatible Sky equipment and Sky TV subscription from £15 per month. Cancel MUTV on 31 days notice. Terms apply. And we'll see you next time.